One. And we are recording not live on Wednesday, November 26th, 2025 at 12:04 p.m. Eastern time for Thanksgiving cast with the bald ones. And go into the description, all the links, blah, blah, blah. Dave asked the question again.
What is an urbanist? Because Jim supposedly just recorded a podcast with one, and I asked him to clarify what it is, and I said something effective as someone who wants to consolidate society into a slightly tighter footprint or whatever. And Jim was about to answer.
Yeah, the an urbanist is someone who concerns himself with the construction and design and assembly of the human habitat and the modules of it. And a new urbanist, which is a somewhat different thing, the new urbanist came along about 30 years ago with a reform movement to try to mitigate the fiasco of suburban sprawl. And I've been partnering up with the new urbanists for all that time since the beginning of the movement, and that's where things are at.
Um, I was gonna say, do you think, just to completely do a 180, the announcement yesterday of the Genesis project, I firmly believe that that has probably been going on for like 10 years.
Describe that. Describe that
The
just
new
for your
depart
viewers.
yeah, for so the new, I believe, under the Department of Energy, a quote unquote Manhattan project for AI, which somebody made a good point. If you announce that it's not the Manhattan project, it's more of an Apollo program. I think it's probably been going on for like 10. Why wouldn't it? And it's my thoughts on that are purely based on, aircraft or stealth aircraft, they're always decades ahead. Laser weapons are always decades ahead. Orbital surveillance is always decades ahead.
The EWs.
Yeah, simply based on that. No, no, no crazy extract. Just based on that. Why wouldn't at the very least the best, commercially available AIs we see right now in terms of their ability to read, take notes, produce video, audio instantly. Why wouldn't, if we just track with the basic premise that the military has advanced classified technology, by that logic, it would be the U.S. government would have had access to what we see as Chat GPT 4. I don't think any later than 2015. And if you go by simply at the 20-year kind of marker, you can go back as far as say it's 2005. Okay, why wouldn't there have been a Manhattan Project started for, and whether or not AGIs, regardless, it's if somebody thinks it's real, then there's importance there. Um, I don't think any of us have any specialty in this shit, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have four immediate thoughts, and I'll try to make them brief. That AI faces a whole bunch of major questions. One is it going to hit the wall in terms of really whether it works or not, or whether it's going to hallucinate itself and us into a whole new range of problems? Another one is, are its applications actually much more limited than we imagine? That there are going to be plenty of jobs that won't be replaced by AI because they can't be, because AI doesn't have an imagination, really. It can hallucinate, but it doesn't have the kind of imagination that humans have. Third one is, can the electric grid and the electric power system be engineered and financed sufficiently to meet the needs of this AI without disrupting life on the ground for everybody else? And the fourth one is related, um, is our financial system too fragile to really go forward and support any of this activity in the way that many people imagine?
Tom?
Um, I'm going to agree with Jim on all of those things. I'm going to say, one more. I'm going to add one more layer to it. I was watching a cast the other day with in Burlingame about the last mile problem of the panopticon, right? Just the general problem of having to deal with the ever increasing volume of people as you try to bring them under the panopticon's rule. It's an impossible task. It doesn't matter. It's like it's a Pareto problem, right?
It's
It's
approaching the
always
speed of light. You need
it's
infinitely
well
more energy.
yeah. Well, it's the same problem with Pareto, right? If you want
It's an
to,
80/20 problem.
yes, and everything's an 80/20 problem. So everything then winds up being a Zeno's paradox problem, right? which is that in order to get, you can get 80% of the benefit for 20% of the money, and then for the next benefit after that, it goes down by a factor of 80/20, right? 16 costs 80% more money to get 16%, then 4%, then 0.6%, blah 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 blah. So each order of Pareto makes it much more difficult to actually get any further improvement. This is why at a certain point, when you do any kind of process improvement, you go, that's good enough. We can make money at that level, but we can't make money improving the process any farther. I am at the point now where when I finished listening to EM talk about that, and it's something I've always known, but he did a really nice, like 15-minute distillation of this for that particular podcast he was on. I said, right, what they're always trying to sell us on, and this is all narrative at this point, is the myth of the omnipotent X. And X is whatever you want it to be. AI, the elites, the pedophiles, the Jews, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Everything is this myth of, so they try and sell you on the imagination, to Jim's point, of that there's this grand big thing out there that we can't, overwhelming force that we can't stop. And it's the retards who run our world, who think they run the world.
Yeah.
And when you realize that those same retards are the ones trying to sell us on the AI future, I'm like, I'm with Jim. Like, the whole thing is just dumb. So, and then there's the side, the other meme when I start thinking about technology, which is, and I don't always, necessarily subscribe to this, but I'm open to it, which is that, look, we spend all this time making technology, and then we have the technology, and then the technology works for us to the point where the technology enslaves us. Then the sun burps, wiping out the technology, and we all go back to worshiping the sun, right? And I just think that we're kind of at that moment, the transition moment between the technology working for us and working against us, and over the horizon, the sun could burp and wipe us all out and force us back into our bodies and out of our heads.
Yeah.
As I think, metaphorically speaking, what I'm getting to. So, and I think that's kind of what Jim was trying to elucidate. So I don't know, Dave, what do you think?
I've stopped the thinking part, and I'm just working on lizard brain mode now. The sun burping, people don't understand the risk of that. That's an underestimated risk.
Carrington event.
Not in this household, it's not.
No. The Carrington event.
I will say, sorry, the podcast and nothing else I own is the several hard drives in multiple locations are in several layers of Faraday bags. When it burps, I will be the Library of Alexandria. And what I recorded is what humanity will only ever know. Sorry, keep going, Dave.
And we'll have no power to play them. So.
Why don't we tell listeners what the Carrington event is?
Go ahead, Dave.
1859, there was a solar activity. I'll just be that vague. And it fired gamma rays at the sun, and there's a timing issue where if it's just right, they fry electronics, and they actually in electronics in 1859 were not exactly microcircuitry. It was the telegraph, basically, and probably it was quarter-inch copper, right? I mean, it was probably robust as shit. And it literally sent shocks up and down the telegraph and lit telephone poles on fire and stuff like that. So if imagine that happens, I think your iPhone will not come out of it okay. One can make the argument that the human race, while it won't be facing existential risk, there could be a culling of the herd of a magnitude that would include almost none of us. Couple of you guys who can, breed with goats and stuff like that might survive. But
I'm here. You're not allowed to make goat fucking jokes while I'm here. Only when I'm off screen.
While you're here is why we do it.
So if you want to, so
I saw a video the other day of aerial view of a guy having sex with a goat. So I thought of you, Tom. I think there's some. To address Tommy's point, I sat with a military guy who said that he saw Palantir software in 1996. That is way before most people think Palantir existed. I think with respect to AI, I think the more micro, the better. I think it's best suited for, you know, for thoughtful things like, ordering takeout food or something, solving medical problems. But the more focused, I think, the less likely it is to hallucinate and things like that. I worry that Jim is wrong on one point. I worry that it will suck and we'll still use it. And so the world will become just a wretched place to exist.
Well, Gigo, folks, we live in a Gigo universe, right?
Well, it's already this has already happened with this.
Oh,
with
absolutely.
the larval AI that already exists. I mean, just look at what happens when you try to call a doctor's office.
Oh, I just you get in infinite
Fucking
loops and
hopeless.
shit. I've been struggling with it this week actually.
Oh, dear.
Um, the costs of AI right now in its current form are so monumentally too high. They're basically building out $1 trillion or more infrastructure that has the life expectancy of a souffle. And so the question is, are we going to have to do it? How valuable is a server that's 4 years old, right? So are we going to do it again? There's a server farm that's going up in Louisiana that uses more energy than New Orleans. Right. Right. I mean,
Dang.
these are problematic realities. So when Jensen Huang, who is now being called out for committing fraud finally by people above JG Nuke's level, is saying China's going to win, that's code for give Trump unlimited power to give people money to buy my chips. And when Sam Altman says you've got to back AI, he's saying give me money to buy Jensen Huang's chips. And so the whole thing is a ruse. On the other hand, I'm sympathetic to the argument that if someone beats us, we might regret not running in that race. So it's a difficult, but I hate the centralization of it. I hate the call for government
I
to
think that
join in.
I think that last point though is probably the thing that will mean that we're going to do it. I mean, it's
That's
again,
exactly right.
we
That's
always
exactly
have the
right.
benefit of hindsight. I mean, reading about the atomic bomb and then even the hydrogen bomb. I don't even know what the name for the project of the hydrogen bomb was. I think they loosely called it the super, but it had a budget 10 times larger than the A bomb and and its funding was larger than the top 10 biggest companies in the United States at the time. And at one point, I think it was using 20% of the United States electricity. So that was post World War II up until 1952. And the entire logic was like, well, do we know if it can work? And it's like, no, but it might. And you
Have you
don't want
read
to be.
Jacobson's book? Have you read Jacobson's book?
I'm afraid to.
Oh, Annie Jacobson
It's scary.
on
It's
nuclear war
scary.
scenario. Yeah.
We were cranking nuclear missiles in a way that we were so proud that we thought we were imitating Henry Ford. I mean, we were talking about the missiles per day that we were
Oh yeah,
creating, and
60 plus
Jacobson's
thousand nuclear
conclusion
warheads. Yeah.
Jacobson's conclusion was is that from the first flash out of North Korea, arbitrarily chosen, that we have 78 minutes before the world basically comes to an end. 78
Yeah.
minutes. So I'm going to
Yep.
day trade those 78 minutes.
Yeah,
And
good idea.
yeah, I'm going to go long on the assumption that if I'm wrong, I'm not going to care.
Correct.
Jim Gundlach said something. This is somewhat tangential to this, but he talked about the AI stocks, of course, for getting people's attention. He pointed out that electricity was more transformational than anything, right? Electricity certainly
Mhm.
was. The electricity stocks peaked bigly in 1911. So the people who think that, I see nothing but blue skies for AI could be correct while AI's investment opportunities are in the rearview mirror.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of normal, Dave.
It's totally normal because
Yeah, it's
Wall Street
totally
gets
normal.
way out ahead of the story, right?
Of course.
Right.
And then they sell it to the Muppets, and then the Muppets,
And they're selling it
buy,
to the Muppets right now.
and the Muppets buy the top, and then they get out, and then they move
And
on.
I by the way, saw it. This is amazing. On the homepage of Yahoo, I saw the fear greed index, that dial,
Mhm.
and it registered the markets are in extreme fear.
Hmm.
And
Well,
I'm
what do you
going,
make of that?
We're down.
someone's
We're down. The Dow is down like a 0.5% for the month.
someone is a total fucking retard. That's what I make of that. I just and I was thinking, what's the other scale? Maybe the scale's wrong. I go extreme greed, and I go, okay,
Well,
it says extreme fear.
I could pull up a different background because my wife's coming back into the RV soon, so I had to pull the green screen down and because she's got to prep for Thanksgiving tomorrow. So I pulled up the Aurora.
The
Let's go
Carrington
back to the
event.
Carrington event. That's what this is, right?
That's
And
exactly right.
Yeah.
right. So,
It'll be
if you've
gorgeous.
seen the Aurora recently in places like, oh, I don't know, Florida, that's an issue. Like it's a big problem because when the sun burps, when it either does a coronal mass ejection or just a big solar wind a solar wind moment, it interacts with the magnetic field, causing the aurora. Well, the magnetic field is getting weaker by the day, and it's dropping about 1% a year.
The
And
poles are shifting. One of the poles is shifting 50 kilometers a year.
no, the poles are, the North Pole is also radically moving, which is why every time I go out driving and I'm like going somewhere I don't know, and I'm like, what? And Siri tells me I'm approaching the turn, and the turn's like a quarter of a mile up. I'm like, oh, the quarterly update to the GPS map has not been downloaded yet to my iPhone. I can just tell.
This is
I know it's the
Weimar
fucking
GPS. This is Weimar
because, like,
GPS.
well, because I just know that you just know that it's all based on where the magnetic north is. The magnetic north is moving a lot, and these things have to be constantly updated, like every
As
quarter.
fast, the magnetic north is moving as fast as your car.
Mm-hmm.
It's just moving along.
So
no, it's not. It's
moving
50
along,
kilometers a year.
So those of us who are doom porning it up out there about Trump's chances in the midterms or this or that or anything else, you're kind of missing the fucking trees for the big forest out there, which is that the possibility in the next 5 to 7, 10, 15, 20 years within our lifetime that there could be a massive grid collapsing event. When I saw and this is the interesting part about it, I'm not crazy anymore. The Department of Homeland Security put out a tweet the other day saying exactly this during the last solar storm that happened last week that drove everybody fucking crazy. Like did you not notice that last week everybody was nuts?
Well, it's been that way for many years, Tom.
Well, no, I mean extra nuts, Dave. Like
yeah.
there was more nuts out there.
I was personally paying more attention to the insanity around me.
Well,
just saying,
when there's big solar events like that, we are affected by perturbations in the magnetic field.
I also slept really badly some of those days.
I know people who had really bad headaches. I picked a fight with my wife one morning that was the dumbest shit imaginable that turned into a 2-day affair that, 2-day, piss fest. And we finally looked at each other and went, oh, Jesus Christ, it was a solar storm.
Tom, that might be the only man in history who's ever successfully blamed a fight on a celestial event. I mean, touche, dude. That's fucking
that. Yeah,
honey.
It wasn't. It was the magnetosphere.
Well, she was just as freaking crazy as I was, and we were
so there's a debate. There's a debate going on between two camps, best I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
One is Sun Weatherman, who says that the poles do. I don't think the poles reverse. I think he's talking about something less consequential. I think the reversals are like every 700,000 years, but something happens every 6,000. Every other cycle, it's worse. So it's an alternating high, low, and we're heading into the high. So that's an argument. Ethical skeptic, who's one of these guys you wonder if he's a single person or some psyop. I chat with him and stuff, but doesn't mean anything. And he's got a different view, but I can't quite tell the difference because they both seem to paint a doom picture. And then there's always the possible someone fries our grid on purpose. So
right,
yeah, but that's the same as mutual assured destruction.
Not if you cover it up.
That's a big gamble.
Yeah, I see at that point there's no way to cover it up. I'll be honest with you. I've been following Ben Davidson, Sun Weatherman, Suspicious Observers for years. And we've had many and many a discussion in my house going back to like 2018, guys. We've been aware of this storyline. So, and we've talked about it. And what I when I watch what I'm seeing from the people who think they run the world, those people that run the pedophile networks that and all of this shit that we've been dealing with. When I call them Davos. You can call them the high table. You can call them whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit. When I watch the way they're acting, what I see are a bunch of people that don't believe they're going to be around in 25 or 30 years, or they're going to be the only ones left. And that really what they're running right now is a grand fucking evil experiment on all of this, because they know that 99% of us are all going to be dead in 30 years. At least that's the way they're acting. And that ties into, so then I have to ask a question, is Ben real? Is he not real? I know I've met Ben. I've had him on my podcast. I think he's an honest broker, but it is what it is. My point being is that when you fit all of this into the big context, you have to ask yourself, why are they acting the way they are?
Tim
And
Dillon.
it that actually scares me more than anything else, because that means that there's absolutely zero restraint on their behavior going forward.
Tim Dillon, the comedian I
actually
cite.
scares me.
Tim Dillon, the comedian I cite way too much, had a brilliant point. I've been listening to him for years. He's like, the difference in what we're seeing now is it's like if you're kind of hip to conspiracies and read, even just say limited to the last 150 years, there's always a decent attempt, even though, 20 years later you find out it's horseshit, to cover it up. Be it whatever, Vietnam, 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, we're doing this, we're doing that, the Apollo program, but we're testing this here, testing that there. There's always an attempt and the reason they're attempting to cover it up is because they need the game to keep going. He said their actions now, and again, he's just one dude, but he's like, their actions now, the very fact that there's kind of even no attempt at making a even
They're not hiding
loosely,
it.
it kind of seems like, oh, it's the final. They've been moving towards the nuclear bunker very slowly for 5 minutes, and then their final 10 feet, and now they're just sprinting. They're going no, and for 10 minutes they're going nobody panic. We're not going towards the nuclear bunker. You guys are all fine. The last 10 feet, they're like, and fuck off, and they're running in. That's horrifying
It's
because
like just look up. It's like just look
they
up.
normally at least try. They're not even trying, which tells me that this one's different than past rackets in that they're shutting the door.
Well, there are different modules of this. There's, for example, before we went on mic, we were talking about the rather large child exploitation network
Mhm.
that is operating in the USA and elsewhere. But, I was just thinking when Tom was speaking about the European scene, and you asked, why would they be behaving this way? And I think it's because all of these leaders are going to be overthrown one way or another in the next 12 months. I think they're all gone. Van der
And they
Leyen,
are acting wacky.
Merz, Starmer, Macron, they're gone. And they're gone soon.
They're
That's what I'm
acting
thinking.
wacky as shit. I mean, they really are.
Mhm.
They really are acting
I mean,
wacky.
look what's happening with them around the Ukraine situation. What they're really demonstrating is they are utterly powerless, ineffectual, impotent. They can't do anything anymore, and they know it.
Look what they've done to Germany.
Yeah.
They've
Oh, yeah.
disassembled everything that gave Germany at least a prayer of moving forward technologically. They've
Yeah.
turned Germany into Italy or Portugal or
They're
something.
going medieval.
Right.
And it's funny, you're all right, and that's what I mean by, well, why not run these horrible experiments on people? Why
Mm.
not try locking everybody down under
Let's
COVID,
put
and then giving them experimental gene therapies and see what that does to them, and then this doesn't matter, because at the end of the day we're all going to die in
I think
20
the
years anyway.
mRNA was a worldwide FDA trial just to see how many on every population, just to see if they could get away with this like new longevity-esque medicine. I think
Don't you
they're like,
think
let's
that
just see what it does.
don't you think this experiment is coming to an end?
Yes, I
Yes.
also do. No, and
what
to
do you mean
your
an
point,
end
Jim,
as
what
in
I,
failure
They
end or
can't do,
they're
yeah,
done?
failure. They can't do it anymore.
What about
So
what
and I
about
think
what about an alternative interpretation? that this is about what I think it's Adam Curtis calls hypernormalization, in which,
Yes.
in reference to the Soviet Union, where you basically get the populace complacent because you just demoralize them into a state of passivity. And it's the they lie, we know they lie, they know
I
we
know we
know they
know we
lie,
know.
that sort of thing. And at the end you say, fuck it, what's for dinner? And is
Hmm.
there enough dinner? And that's all you care about. And
That
and
that might be the end state of AI is
But
like
that could be what they're doing now. So the question is, did they overplay COVID? And if the idea was to get away with it, they absolutely overplayed it.
Mhm.
If the idea was to ram it up our ass, and
and then just
I've
stop.
written about this. I said, Larry Bird used to say, say to his opponent. At one point, he was pissed off. He said to his opponent, he said, "I'm really pissed off that they're guarding me with a white guy." Um, and but he'd say to his opponent, "I'm going to go to the break to the right, do a pull up jump shot, and you can't stop me." And then he'd do it, and it would leave a broken man. And now you got Larry Fink saying, "Here's what we're going to do: we're going to set up Bitcoin. We're going to rip your souls out, and then you can't stop me. And we're going to do it." And then they do it. That is how you basically turn your opponent into a submissive whatever.
But it only works when it's not 1984, when it's Brave New World, when there's at least something on the other. Because if you take away everything, all food, then people go, fuck you, I'm just gonna go out
No,
for
that's
blood.
right.
But
There's a minimum.
if there's Uber Eats delivery and you get
Right.
Netflix, it might be like a
Yep.
weird sort of entropic state where it's like y'all have food and water and like, yeah, whatever. That might,
Wally.
yeah, well, I was about to say, it's just kind of a, eh,
Well, the Soviet Union didn't collapse because it was overthrown. It just ran out of resources.
Yeah,
yeah.
ran out of mojo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it
No.
just ran out of
And
gas.
but I'm with Jim. They're running out of this. The financial gearing has gotten to the point where they can't produce enough stuff based on the amount of money it takes to produce the stuff. Like, at a certain point, the gearing has to go in the opposite direction. That's one. And then the other side of it is look at what's happening culturally. The kids are like, we're not playing this game anymore. And that's
Right.
where that's the biggest tell. I've been saying for years when I started going down this path of thinking about, okay, how is Davos? What are they got to do here? I'm looking at the demographic shifts. I'm looking at the generational shifts, and I'm saying, well, they paid for all of these Congress people, and they paid for all these judges, and they paid for all this infrastructure and the managerial state and all the other crap. Like, these are all assets, and those assets are all aging out because the kids coming behind them, they all look like me or worse,
Ooh.
and we're not me
Ooh.
or worse. Yeah, exactly. Right? No, but I mean, in terms of our willingness to go along with their bullshit. And so because of that, I'm like, oh, they have a very limited time frame to pull this shit off that they want to pull off.
You're right about the kids.
So
We thought it was cool to wear bell bottoms, and they went out, and this newer generation thought it was cool to cut off their dicks, and that's now looking a little silly.
yeah.
And and
I never thought bell bottoms were a good idea.
you
I've been a
never
boot
owned
cut
any?
guy since I'm like 9.
Oh, okay. So well, you're too young. The
Mm.
bell
Yeah,
bottoms.
I had them.
Yeah,
No,
I had
my
them,
sisters had them.
but I never had a silk shirt or pumps or anything like that. I just had
Mm.
Levi bell bottoms. That's the only thing I had that
Mm.
was remotely of that era. Otherwise, it was t-shirts. Um, Proud to say. But I think the younger kids and the younger kids are turning back to religion, I think.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And that's a serious problem for some
They've
people.
got to be disgusted by the degeneracy that we're
I think
living.
that's right.
I think that's
I
what
think
it
I think
is.
that's
they are.
right.
If you look at you look at what's happening, like it's the first wave of this, a lot of people going back to being Catholic or whatever.
Mhm.
The big news is the Orthodox Church.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Eastern Orthodox.
the next wave of this is they all went back to the Catholic mass because it's everywhere. And they're like, these people are degenerates, and then now they're going back to Orthodoxy and
Yeah.
Orthodoxy, and that I find the interesting part, and encouraging, to be honest with you. So
Yeah, well, you
Yeah,
actually consort with what 20-year-olds?
I do every once in a while. I mean, I have one.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I have one.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
I thought you were
and
saying something dirtier.
Oh no,
Um,
no, I don't mean consort. Like,
seriously. Yeah, I can sort with my where's this nut? Okay, no, that's
your
not what's going
daughter's
on.
friends.
no, but I mean,
Where's
you,
the thing? Over here.
you know
Yeah,
what I
there
mean.
we
You
go.
know,
There we go.
you
Yeah,
have
no,
somebody
no,
who reports to you.
yeah, and my nearly 20-year-old
You have
daughters.
spies.
I do have, and yeah, I mean, these kids are not. They're not radicals, but they are in terms of their thought. They won't fight for a system, and they won't play it within a system they know is rigged against them. They
That's the
will jack
Jordan
out
Peters. That's the Jordan
completely.
Peterson rap model. That's the Jordan Peterson rap model.
What has happened to Jordan Peterson is the
Disappeared.
reports about him are just, his daughter said about 3 weeks ago that he had some terrible, terrible illness again, and that he's probably not going to be back on the game board for a year. I mean, this is really turning
He's an
weird.
interesting guy who has phenomenal wisdom about getting your shit together while struggling phenomenally to get his shit together. It's a
Yeah.
very paradoxical situation. I still wonder if going through McGill was a problem.
I don't know. The first crisis that he had about 5 years ago was apparently, I was going to say clearly, but who really knows? It was apparently drug-induced, dependence on benzodiazepam.
Well, that's an
And
odd thing for a Jordan Peterson to end up doing, right?
well, he was in this terrible situation where he was coping with his wife's cancer episode at the same
Okay.
time that he was becoming a world-renowned celebrity. And I think that the stress of all of that just put him over, and he was using too much Xanax or Valium or one or the other of those things. And turned out he had a very, very difficult withdrawal from it, and really messed him up. This time, from what his daughter Michaela reported, it was more of some kind of like a physical illness, like maybe he was even poisoned. So
Well, he does have a serious dietary
yeah,
restriction. He eats nothing but pure meat. Just,
right.
just, just, you know.
That seems
So,
to have
Well,
saved
his
him from
entire
some kind of
and her medical history is so obvious that she's got massive food allergy issues as well. So there's something going on there as well. I mean, and this is something we struggle with in our household. My wife has got serious food allergies, and for the most part, she eats meat and salt and the odd vegetable and pretty much nothing else. Oh yeah, no, because she's allergic to almost everything else. And
Jeez.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
we're not supposed to be allergic to that many things. That's the funny part of the
Oh,
story. There's some fucking over. Kennedy's not wrong on this shit. I just don't know if he's going to get anywhere. Um,
Yeah. Speaking of Kennedy, do you think that, there seems to be, first of all, there's a rumor going around that Susie Wiles controls Robert Kennedy. Susie Wiles is the
mhm,
chief of staff in the White House,
mhm.
that she controls Robert Kennedy, that she's cut his balls off, that she's making it impossible for him to do what he needs to do. There's also all kinds of chatter that the people that he brought in to run these agencies, like Marty McCary and Jay Bhattacharya, that they've turned into stooges of some sort or another.
Cucks, cucks.
It's hard to tell how much of that is simply, disinformation coming from interested parties, or what the fuck is going on with that. Do you have any idea? Have you seen it? Have you encountered all that?
My heuristic at this point is that everybody's lying through their fucking teeth, and that everybody works for somebody else.
Nah,
Everybody,
come
everyone.
on.
Everyone. I'm at the point now where everybody's being activated. That's my heuristic, and I know that I'm going to be wrong about certain things. I'd
Uh-huh.
rather be. That's my default position, because when I use that as my default position, I wind up being right more than I wind up being wrong.
Hmm.
And it's not a matter of, it's a statistical problem for me at this
So
point.
you don't believe everyone. It is your default assumption. It is your
Yeah, my
default.
my default assumption at this point, and when I've gone and I've gone on this rant 100 times, and I can tell you right now, the big one is Thomas Massey.
He's
Tell me
being run
about
by
Matt.
someone?
Massey's an intelligence asset. It's the game he's playing with the J6 whistleblower now. Classic. We can't classic intelligence agency framing on that thing in order to go after a particular, in order to create a thing. I'm dead serious.
Who's
And
he
I feel,
going
and I've
after?
always
What's
felt that
the
way
end
about
game on
Marjorie
that?
Taylor Greene, and then she blamed
Can you
out.
explain that?
Yeah. What's he
Yeah,
got?
no.
What's
So
Massey up to?
he's now going. So he's now doing the thing with
The
the. Well,
pipe
I have a
bomb.
J6. I have a J6 whistleblower. I have a whistleblower, but he will never. The key is that they'll never reveal the name. He did the same thing with the Epstein files. I got all this list of people. I'm like, well, then release them. Why won't you release them? Because you don't actually fucking have them. Is why. And so that's the intelligence asset framing of intelligence agency framing of these things in order to seed doubts into everything. The goal is doubt. The goal is to take a population that's already distrustful of everything and continue to feed that anxiety. And think of it, and I was, as you were talking just a couple minutes ago, Jim, it popped into my head this whole thing with Susie Wiles, and I know I've been worried about Wiles since Trump took office for different reasons, though. And again, all of these things invariably have a nugget of truth to them, right? Because the best lies have nuggets of truth in them. So, but when you were saying that, I'm like, everybody's really on edge because everybody wants everything that Trump is doing to resolve, get back to the one chord, and let's move on to the next section of the song, and we can build from that and go to the next thing. And of course, we're working against people who believe fundamentally in the endless mid game of like a jam band who can't get back to the one chord. And they want to leave us in that heightened state of anxiety while we constantly just move from suspended chord to suspended chord to suspended chord and never get back to the fucking one, right? So and that drives people crazy. It exhausts them, and it just says, God damn it, just fucking arrest somebody. Right? How many times have we heard this in the last
So they indict
months?
Comey, and they put a prosecutor on him who's an insurance lawyer who's got no prosecutorial experience, and shock of shock, she bones it, and the case gets thrown out of court.
I don't think she boned it. I don't believe
Well, that's
she
what
boned it.
No, but that's now the narrative.
That's the narrative. Yes, I agree with that. True. I don't think that's the truth, but that's the narrative. Now, what I'm getting at is, remember when Georgia Maloney first, because this is what just popped into my head. Remember when Georgia Maloney first got elected, and she had to, and we all know that the Italian deep state is worse than the American deep state because it's thousands of years older, right? So she's fighting against that. And then, at times she has to kind of go along to get along, deal with, send weapons to Ukraine and knuckle under on certain aspects of immigration policy and all these things. And I can tell you that every day it was a nonstop, oh my God, she's just another one of these people who are not, who false prophets, pipe pipers and whatnot. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. Her surviving this situation is the victory. The same thing is going on. I think right now that's where Donald Trump's cabinet is. I think that's where all of these ideas are. Is that we're at a point now where the amount of shit being thrown at him is so off the charts. Just surviving it is the victory.
Right.
At least for now. And if you can get through the midterms and actually get through, if you want to fix the United States, you ain't going to do it in one fucking term. You're certainly not going to do it 18 months before the goddamn midterm elections. It's going to take a decade or two. And you have to set this up. And you have to
exactly right.
We're not going to know the trust.
If Trump is transformational, I've been saying this for piles of podcasts. If Trump is transformational, we're not going to know for 20 years.
Yeah.
And did you see MTG's tweet this morning to Cernovich?
Nope.
No.
So Cernovich said, you really should finish your term. Now, Cernovich himself is a very complicated character.
I agree.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene starts ripping into about how it's one thing to be a keyboard warrior behind a screen. She said, do you want me to stay in this game and get assassinated like Charlie Kirk? She said, do you want me to do this? I've been out there fighting in the trenches. Pick up your goddamn shovel and pick or whatever and get out there and fight. Don't do the bullshit you do. And she really, it was really kind of an unvarnished, fuck you.
Well, she got a point.
She's got an excellent point. She does
have an excellent point. But then when the shit got hard for her, she didn't fight. She walked.
Well, so, but we don't know how.
Mark,
we don't
fuck
know
off
how
AOC from agatards. That's my opinion of hers never changed. I've always thought this was a loyalty test. I agree with Ian Berling. This was a loyalty test, and she failed miserably.
I don't believe in
because
the
she should have
loyalty
stayed.
argument. I
Why
don't
did
believe in the
she why
loyalty
did she
argument.
step for retards like me? Why did she step down? I get Trump says you're a traitor and blah blah, blah. But what was the actual to not even finish the term? What
I think that her basic objection is that she thinks that we're putting too much, giving too much attention to Israel.
That's fine.
but
Stay out the term,
regardless of
and
the objection.
then stay out the term.
But that's what I mean. Is like
and work within the political system, which is the art of the possible. That now we're going to focus on domestic stuff, and we're going to get domestic stuff done, and you can be an asset there. But no, what she did was thin out at a crucial time the Republican majority to hand even more power to who? Mr. Thomas fucking Massey, who will not vote with Trump on anything. I'm telling you, I'm right about this.
I think it's a fool's errand to believe that we have any understanding of what she has been put through.
That's also fair. I mean, yeah,
maybe.
There's another element of this too, which is that so much of American politics has been overtaken basically by female psychodrama, that this is just another female psychodrama. She's walking away from daddy.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that we're dealing with, the narcissist scorned, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even go so far as to, blame her for being a narcissist. I just say it's
Trump.
No, it's
about?
I don't think Trump is a narcissist. I never have.
I just think it's part and parcel of the female influence that has infested American politics. And it has to do with different different psychological orientations for females and males. And
right.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason, for those reasons, the end product is a lot of psychodrama and posturing, and it can be very harmful.
Yeah,
That's what we got.
I'm just confused on why she didn't fit, regardless of what her contention is. If the contention's like the Earth is flat,
Well, if she's serious about being assassinated, that's a pretty good reason. What's mysterious? What part of that don't you understand?
Yeah, sure. Well, then
I would make the argument that she appears to have, I say appears because I don't believe I understand anything anymore, appears to have been one of Trump's warriors. And then I think she feels that Trump turned on her.
Well, this is
quickly.
Exactly the problem with females in politics, and I'm really sorry to have to say this because, I know that there are probably a lot of female women listeners out there for this, but being a warrior is not essentially a female characteristic. And if you're asking them to all behave like warriors, you're kind of asking them to be like men. And they're not. They just have different hardwired priorities. The main one being a desperate search for consensual agreement and validation for that. And that's not what you get when you're a warrior. When you're a warrior, you do have to stand alone, and you got to suck it up, and you have to embrace the suck, that is heaped upon you.
You don't get to cry.
So she's not a warrior.
There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah.
There you go. No crying in baseball.
I bet the guy got hit in the balls with a pitch. Maybe did.
Yeah, well,
I'll agree with that.
Or just screeching.
Oh God. Yeah. But that being said, I'm.
I'll tell you who doesn't cry. I'll tell you who doesn't cry.
My problem here is I've never trusted her. I've always looked at her. I just saw the ad campaign around her that existed that was exactly the same as AOC's. And for me, it was just, I'm like, it's been sitting in the back of my head since she, showed up in Congress, and, it was her versus AOC, and they just hold her up. And then the left has used her as the pinata, to beat on and go, see, crazy MAGA.
And the left is primarily,
as far as I'm concerned, that kind of thing, that kind of operation, psychological operation, is very common. They do shit all the time.
The left is primarily psychodrama driven,
right?
And AOC is primarily performative psychodrama.
Well, of course she is.
QED.
And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene was the same. Look, we can disagree on this, and I may be wrong, but this is my take.
She has more under the hood than AOC.
I agree with that. I'm not arguing that point, but that also doesn't mean that she isn't
A
also
chick.
driven by power. No, seriously, that she's
Yeah,
not
right.
also driven by power. And
Well,
she
she
wanted, I mean,
also has something to go back to, and she could be easily saying it. This is it. I've had enough of this shit. I think to end up at war with your boss means it's time to go.
Mhm.
And
No,
if she's standing
it's
on
not,
principle,
he's not her boss. She's a congresswoman
yeah,
from Georgia, and her
no.
job is to represent the
is to
people of
finish the
Georgia.
fucking finish the
That's yeah,
fucking
that's
term. I'm with you, but finish the fucking term.
you don't
Yeah.
know what's happening in her life. You don't know. We don't have a fucking clue.
Okay, but
Not a
you have to
fucking
apply that
clue.
to every politician. How
That's
many?
exactly
But
right.
how? And that my point is in how many step down? Her and what? Nixon?
But my
That my point is I
Chuck
think
Grassley wants to run. Chuck Grassley wants to run for another 6-year term as senator at 96 years old. For fuck's sake, okay.
there-
There's a reason why he's not stepping down. There's a
there's
reason
a
why Marjorie Taylor Greene stepped down. They can be
there's
exactly the same reason.
I can't imagine what it'd be like
Continuity
to
of government.
open the newspaper every day and read horrific things about yourself. I think it takes a psychopath to be able to do that. That she's saying, I'm not a psychopath, I'm done. Is that
I just
bad?
don't think she's I agree with you, Dave. I just don't think that the pressure she's under is any more significant or unique or superior to
The
any other
pressure.
pressure of any other person in the US government at that level from 2015 till now. I have sympathy for it, but no one else has quit. That's my point. Is
Here,
no one else has
and the
quit.
other thing is she chose to go after the limelight.
Yeah.
She chose this path.
You
It
played the
wasn't thrust
fire.
upon her. She chose it all. She chose all that attention. She chose all the bet. She chose every bit of it. She walked out there to go get the friggin' I'm ready for my fucking close up, Mr. DeMille. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at her. And I'm
Yeah,
like, you
it's
attention seeking whore, it's on
yeah,
you.
shut the
And
fuck
you're
up.
done.
You quit. If that's
I'm
all it
not,
is you
I'm
quit.
in war mode, guys. I'm not
Yeah,
fucking around here. I'm in war mode and I don't give a shit. And this is
yeah.
the last I want to speak about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah,
But
I was just
she's not
thinking,
the
yeah,
only one left out there. There
Yeah.
are dozens of her in Congress still.
we've covered
They've
that
been trying to
sufficiently.
whittle away that 5-seat majority that he had in the House since the day after the election.
Mhm.
And they're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
And
What-
Dave,
I'm
Dave, you're
sorry,
muted.
she could have stood up and she could have called Trump and said, or Trump anyway, and said, just don't quit. We're fine. But she chose this path.
Yeah.
And so Trump chose the path to get rid of her on purpose.
I think this implies a knowledge that we can't possibly have as to what actually is going on.
I agree. This is all speculation.
I agree
But
with you,
this is
Dave.
my version of the speculation.
By the way, though, if they're saying we're going to kill you if you don't step that, hey man, at a certain, maybe I'm just a psycho, but at a certain point, by the time they're making that threat, listen, they're probably going to fucking follow through. Like,
Look, Tom sent me an email saying, be careful out there. I got this from Dexter White. And it was some guy who had some national Jewish organization attacking me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nasty as a motherfucker.
Yep.
And so you sensed risk, which is nothing compared to the kind of shit she gets. Nothing. There's just one guy named Morty who I'd love to drive a truck over. You can fuck
Time
himself.
to get yourself a burn up pepper ball gun.
Right, but the point,
No license
the point
required.
is the point. I have been in a shooting gallery. It is not fun. It is not fun, and mine are nothing compared to the shooting gallery she's in. I think you have to be a complete sick fuck to be able to put up with that kind of pain. I think they're all beyond comprehension sick that they can open a newspaper, read lies upon lies and horrible things about who they are, and somehow do their job. That's not a person I want to be, for example.
Sure, but they all do it.
Yeah, but maybe she said, "Look,
It's
I'm
like
not
it's like
wired for
bitching
this
about
shit."
how
Maybe-
hard it is to get hit in an NFL game, and it's like I don't doubt it,
Yeah,
but
when
they
you're
all
making
do
shit,
it.
I know. No,
And-
they don't. But at some point, you say, I'm done. I've taken enough hits.
At the end of your
I think you
term.
guys are asked. No,
Yeah.
No, that's like saying play till the end of the game and then end up in a fucking wheelchair.
Her thing
No,
said there is no
no.
grand plan to save us. How does that follow up with, so the best move is for me to quit?
Because she says she can't see a way out now. She can't see it anymore.
That,
I think you guys are nuts,
I
actually.
have no sympathy. It's weakness. It is absolute weakness.
Yeah, she's
I
not a
have no
warrior.
sympathy. Shut the fuck, not you.
I
Shut the
don't think
fuck
you
up.
know what being a warrior in that world is. We think we understand. I think that's delusional,
I
guys.
think it's very tough. No one else has done this though.
I don't care. There's never been a period like this. This is a new period.
Listen, if she says she's fighting for it, if she says she's faith based and she's going to do the right thing, you can't follow all that up
She
with, and therefore I quit.
she put
What?
herself
And
in
then
the
Okay,
limelight.
and potentially join the
burned.
view.
what?
Like,
So
are you
what
kidding?
if Israel, Mossad said, "Look, here's the deal. We're going to cap you. You get the fuck out of here. We're going to cap you."
Fucking
We don't
go
know
out,
they
go
didn't do
out
that.
like a king. Fucking screenshot it, tweet it, and say
Tommy,
it's been
that's bullshit.
no,
That's
shut
bullshit,
no,
Tommy.
no, shut the fuck up. Or do you?
I'm not taking a
this
fucking bullet for a failed system.
well,
I'm
then
not
don't
taking a
get
bullet for.
involved.
Well, but
What
you
the
got
fuck is
into
the
it thinking.
point? What the fuck
No,
is the point
you
of
get it.
quitting?
You get into it thinking you can make a difference, and you conclude you can't. You get fucking the Mossad saying we're going to cap
If
you in
they're
the ass.
threatening you
It's
with
time to get
death,
out.
then that means the thing that they are threatening you with is a system that they want pushed forward, and they're willing to kill you over it, which means the system that they're willing to kill you over so that they can replace you with is one in which you and your family probably fucking die. By the time they're threatening to kill your kids, they're gonna do something that was gonna result in the death of you and everyone you know. It's a shitty
I'm not.
outcome, but it's where
You're
you are.
you're
You're not
asking her to take a
And
bullet for
you can also
something that
ask, and you
serves
can
no
also ask for
purpose.
protection, and you can also ask for
Oh,
protection.
that works
She
really
did not-
well, Tom.
We have half of our fucking cabinet on fucking lockdown on military bases.
yeah.
I think this is completely armchair quarterbacking you
So,
guys are doing.
so Trump comes out today and goes, the newspapers have been so brutal for 10 years. They tried to kill me 3 times. I'm just finally done. Do we all cheer that on, or do you go, what a pussy?
He ran a second time, and he's also wired so different than anyone I know.
Okay.
And that is what should
And
make
that's what
someone like
wins.
Marjorie Taylor Greene want to follow that. Because
Yeah.
if the story is correct, that what
You have
really
to
happened
be
here
that.
was that she decided she wanted to run for Senate against Ossoff and got told, you're going to lose by 20. Here are the polls.
You're
And then
now
she went
quoting
crazy.
Scott Jennings. Who the fuck knows what Scott Jennings is?
Oh, dude, that's the story's been going around for weeks now. And is it Trump backfilling? Possibly. But the reality is that the minute that happened, she's been off the fucking train.
Yeah,
That's a
pretty,
great-
pretty
that's a great-
straightforward, simple politics too.
Yeah,
but it's also
straight.
unknowable.
Okay. Look,
It's
we
not
have different
knowable.
opinions about this woman, and that's fine. We'll find out.
But I think the one thing you can't
If
do
she
is
takes a job at
criticize
the
her
View,
for
though,
saying-
Dave, I'm sorry. She takes a job at the View.
Oh,
She's done.
no, that's exactly right. You know who? Megan McCain was at the View. I didn't know that until I had to look it up this morning.
And that's possible. That's
if she
actually
takes
I
a
haven't
job
seen it.
at the View, I have.
View.
You're
I
right.
think she's just going to start a podcast that nobody's going to watch, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
At like a DNA level, just the just quitting it's repulsive. And we'll put it this way: a guy that I've had on the show a million times, Joe Kent, former special forces, his wife, NSA linguist, she was killed in Syria by a car bomb. He becomes the widower of 2 kids, and instead of going quietly into the good night, he receives her remains, then immediately runs for Congress once, fails, runs for Congress again, fails, still raising 2 kids, still going out there every day and then he gets Trump appoints him he's the head of the National Counterterrorist Center, and now he's doing more than he ever would have been able to at any point in his life, and he's making a change. That's a guy whose wife was blown to pieces, and he specifically says, I get her remains, and he has 2 little kids. He could very easily, and no one would fault him, go quietly. And instead, he's out there heading this shit up. Like, that's my point, is there are sacrifices.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. Was that the best thing for his 2 kids?
I have no probably.
No, you can't say that, Tommy.
Okay, so I'm gonna quit because it's too hard, and they're gonna be here. They're gonna be here.
Your kids are number one.
And I can tell you this, as somebody who got 2 fundraisers thrown for him personally, he talks about his kids, and that's why he's doing it. I've sat next to him, person to person.
That's how he rationalizes it.
No, he rationalizes it because what is he going to do? Quit and allow the system to collapse? Hey, kids, sorry.
I think people are wired differently. Maybe that guy's a congressional medal of honor in the DNA.
What the fuck?
I think you guys are full of shit today. I think you guys are really full of shit today.
What the fuck? No,
you guys are armchair warriors. Wait until someone puts your balls right in fucking harm's way and then tell me that you got it in you. Because I can tell you, I've been in a minor few skirmishes this year, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, like when the FBI came to my house 2 days after January 6th and said, stop uploading that shit and stop doing what you're doing in general. And I used all my money to get a fucking lawyer, got out of it, was banned for 5 years, and they'd still email me and say, we don't like how you bring up the FBI thing. And I keep going, and the show is still here to this day. So why we can keep about this shit? What the
you get
fuck
a win
are you
on that one?
What the fuck are no, Dave? I love you to death. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about quietly into the good night. Idea.
Go quietly into the good night.
Well, you gotta explain why you're going. You can't just go away.
Well, like I said, psychodrama. Psychodrama.
Well, Jim, I agree with your model. I think that men and women are so different, the way they solve problems and stuff. But I do not think you can ask a woman to do what we were asking men to do. But I've read so many fucking books where the fucking FBI's whacking people and stuff.
Yes.
This is a bad fucking world.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask anyone to die for a system that looks like it can't be fixed.
Yes.
No one.
Dave, I suspect I'm picking up that you're in a serious kind of black-pilled depressive state.
The fucking episode I did at the end of last. Hold on.
People telling me if I go against fucking Israel, something real bad's gonna fucking happen.
Okay, last fall I did an episode.
I'm not going against Israel. You know why? Because I can't beat them.
I did an episode last fall with Basil Baz and Pete Chambers. Pete Chambers, former SF, he's running for, I believe, Texas governor. They did a show because they're both former CIA, and they were trying to get to this just Biden State Department, Biden Secret Service, as well as the CIA, that Iran was smuggling surface-to-air missiles to come over the southern border to shoot down Trump's plane. They went to all these avenues, and they were shut down. Baz approached me and said, do we want to do it on your podcast? You might die. And I didn't want to, but I felt like a pussy. So we did it. It got to Lara Logan. She retweeted. It got 8 million tweets or 8 million impressions. It gets up to the Trump administration. And months later, they talk about how they were playing a game of charade with multiple different planes. I'm 35. I have no kids. I know the system is failing, but the result is such utter evil, and to quit is just the epitome of weakness. I have fucking nothing to fight for other than the fact that this is pure evil. I have no doubt I'm not going to win. I have no doubt that they probably will fucking kill me. Why the fuck wouldn't they? But that we get here through the actions of weak fucking men. That's what I'm getting at. What are you talking about?
I'm saying that each person has to make their own call, and I don't think you guys are being fair.
Fair enough.
Oh well, I'm not dumping on Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Well, they are.
I'm just saying that she had her particular reasons for doing what she did.
Look, at the end of the day, we all have a different opinion on this, about what we're willing to do and what we're not willing to do.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
and the way this laid out, this could have been done. This could have ended differently. The fact that it ended the way it ended is indicative of something else, is all I'm saying.
I agree with that, but we don't know what that is.
And we'll leave it for the viewers to decide. And that's where we're gonna go. But Trump could have been controlled here. And she chose to not be cajoled. She chose not to be consulted.
Is that necessarily the low road?
If you're in Congress to fight for this world the way she has portrayed herself to be, and she has portrayed herself to be ultra MAGA fucking hard ass bitch. And the minute it gets a little fucking hard, and then she plays the battered wife and the death threat thing. I've seen this shit 1,000 times, and I'm just not buying a word of it. She's not important enough for anybody to fucking kill. That's my point. That's what I think. Fuck all of y'all if you don't agree with me. I don't give a shit.
I just don't think you can.
That's
fathom
fine if we don't agree. We don't have to.
I don't think you can fathom what she's going through.
I just don't think that this is.
In her shoes.
I don't think that. I don't think the fate of Marjorie Taylor Greene is important
and that's the other point
for us to beat it to death, which is what.
And that's what I'm getting
here.
So that's it.
Let's move on. And I suggest I would like to hear what you guys have to think about the not the J6, the Sedition 6, and what's going on with that little prank that was pulled last week, and what's going on with the threat to re-enlist Mark Kelly, the astronaut senator from Arizona, back into the military in order to court-martial him.
I think it's hilarious.
I think it's the early stages of a very, very pernicious color revolutionary op. That's what I think. I think it's an intelligence op all the way down the line.
Because, there's a lot of chatter out there right now that, with all the other noise that's out there, and there's an awful lot of noise, as Dave, I think, pointed out not too many minutes ago, that we're just, we're just being bombarded with crap minute by minute.
Hyper-normalization.
One of the pieces that we're being bombarded by is the rumor that there's a serious attempt to organize a coup by the elements of the CIA. And one of the things that I wrote about in my blog this week, I didn't come to any kind of conclusive end to it, is that John Ratcliffe has been the least visible cabinet member out there, and also he's the most opaque about what the hell he's doing to reform that particular crucial agency, an agency that has been so destructive to the Republic for the last 10 years. And you got to kind of wonder what's going on over there and whether or not there is some kind of a coup being organized.
The reaction, so they didn't say anything technically illegal, right? But what they did do was, I don't think that the Sedition 6 was for domestic consumption. I think it was for foreign. I think it was for international consumption. When you have like the same way that when we see stuff happen in Germany, for example, or wherever, but it's played over here constantly. It's to create a narrative that the United States is in serious trouble in terms of civil war. And then you look at the way that these people responded to Trump's, tweet about this sedition, and then, the UCMJ and all that. And they all turned around and went, he's threatening to kill me, which he did not do. Trump didn't do anything illegal. They didn't do anything illegal, but they escalated to, but they're trying to kill me. So they're wrapping themselves in the moral high ground, continuing the argument that no kings, Trump's a dictator, he's a tyrant, blah, 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 blah. And you're trying to foment now. You got half the people saying these people should be hung, and you have the other half of the people saying, right. And so they're creating red ants, black ants, put them in a jar, shake them up, and escalate the thing higher. This is an intelligence operation. It's straight out of the fucking Color Revolution handbook.
So strictly to
2026 is going to be about, we're going to be talking about how the governors are all getting ready to declare independence from the United States. That's what's coming in the next 6 months. That's what I see. And this thing is that inciting incident.
This is an attempt to just simply introduce more disorder into the system.
I think it's a signal. It's go time.
Who's
we need to move from stage 6 to stage 7 of the color revolutionary model.
Yeah, who's behind
it? They do not need, and it was a signal to the internet, to international forces. Yeah, we're ready. We have our people in place. We're ready to go. Dump the money in.
Who's behind it?
you know where I think this is.
The
I
L
think this goes
word.
right
The
back
city
to
of
L word.
London.
No, it goes
The
back to
city of
London,
London and
Davos, the high
Waitrose.
table, whatever you want to call it. This is
Right.
them,
Offshore.
and they're
Offshore.
losing on every front. Right? Trump counteracts this, or actually, Trump leaks out that, or lets leak out, or someone leaked out the 28-point peace plan for Ukraine, which when I read it cover to cover, I saw one thing and one thing only. Europe's fucked.
I don't doubt that a bit.
They're already
Now,
fucked anyway. I mean, they're ineffectual and impotent.
Right. But what it showed was, if you looked at the way it was playing out, it was like all of the guarantees within that document for the peace fire, or for the to hold the peace together. Yeah, there were things in there the Russians wouldn't agree that didn't like, and there were things in there Americans don't like, and there's things the Europeans
That's
didn't
always
like,
true.
and things that Ukrainians didn't like. That means it's good diplomacy because
That's right.
everybody didn't get everything. So now, but when I looked at it, I went, oh, all of these security guarantees are dependent upon NATO and the EU, not the United States. The United States is there to keep NATO, the EU, and Russia honest. The EU and NATO aren't going to exist in 10 years. So this is the path. The path to all this was like, oh, okay. The Russians can stop fighting now. They can stop spending their gold to fund the war. They can stop spending their men to do the meat grinder. And in 10 years, they can get Odessa by going, hey, let's have a referendum. And Europe will be too weak to do anything about it.
And
just like Crimea.
And did it have bilateral trade flavor in it anywhere? Could you pick that up?
Everywhere. Okay. So the frozen Russian assets, this is the beautiful part, and it's point 14. The frozen Russian, this was the tell for me. The frozen Russian assets were to be used for the United States and Russia. $100 billion of that Russia didn't get the money back, but they had to immediately invest it in infrastructure projects with the United States and Russia together in joint ventures. You know what they're going to do with that?
In Ukraine.
Bering Strait tunnel. Yeah, no, in Ukraine and in Russia as well. And then the Europeans had to throw another $100 billion into the kitty they don't fucking have to rebuild Ukraine.
And where I agree with you in a very big way, I agree that this is brilliant strategy on the part of Trump if he can form basically a bilateral alliance with Russia and leave Europe out.
Yeah, and the net effect is that Europe will have to stop pretending that it can prosecute a war against Russia, because that's all it's doing.
So ridiculous.
And this morning, Peskov gave everything away. Dmitry Peskov, Vladimir Putin's press secretary. For the most part, he doesn't. I don't listen to Peskov for the most part anymore because he mostly just says a lot of random shit in order to see the zeitgeist. But this morning, he said quite bluntly, "This is a tri-party negotiation between the Russians, the Ukrainians, and the Americans. The Europeans are not allowed, are not there. The Europeans aren't there. The UK is not there." And Sergei Lavrov said the same damn thing. He said, nothing the EU or the UK says has any bearing on these negotiations whatsoever. We are done.
That is.
What are the odds Ukraine won't exist in 10 years and it'll just be absorbed?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it
50.
has a very good chance of being a failed state.
I just think it'll be rump Ukraine, and bits and pieces of it will be carved off for Poland or the Hungarians, all of that. I think Ukraine as a rump state is very real, but and then the fight will be over Odessa and Mykolaiv, and we'll move from there. But that's a 10-year problem. That's if the sun doesn't burp and wipe us all out. It doesn't matter what Marjorie Taylor Greene does tomorrow afternoon.
I'm starting to root for the sun burp, actually.
I was
giant asteroid 2028.
I was as soon as Dave said he saw a video of a guy fucking a goat. My first thought was, is the sun burp bad?
I know.
A system that provides that image.
The other interesting thing that's independent of the sun burp is that the solar cycle is about to head into a cold snap. The solar cycle is about to send us into a cold snap. The other thing that people is not getting a lot of press was Bill Gates saying climate change isn't what we thought it was.
Yeah.
And people thought he was just muttering. I go, no. That is the that is a clear declaration of where they're going, and that is
Nuclear power plants for AI.
We need to get rid of the climate story because we need to burn fossil fuels to do AI.
And
The
that
next
happened
scam.
right, and that happened right after Bill Gates visited Mar-a-Lago for dinner.
Right. I'm shocked.
Like,
I'm shocked. Are
shocked,
you
shocked.
saying they collaborate? Are you saying that
No, I'm
there's a
saying that no,
conspiracy?
I didn't know. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm actually saying the exact opposite. That was Trump saying to Bill Gates, I have you dead the rights. You work for me now. Fuck off.
We've got videos.
So, hey, this is according to all you guys, this is kind of a politically labile period. You know,
Yeah.
That's one way of putting it.
like
Labile.
things are really fibrillating out there,
Fourth
and
turning. Fourth
you know,
turning.
God knows what's going to be happening, during and right after the holidays.
So I've been trying to compile a list of Adam Taggart and Grant Williams were talking about fourth turning and how institutions that it involves will fall.
Mm-hmm.
Institutions will fall. And I've been kind of making a list of institutions that fall. All the 3-letter ones, all the WEF and all the 4-letter ones, NATO and shit like that. I think Ukraine's still a risk. I think Israel's a risk. I think Canada could split up. I think Greenland could be ours. There's things like that. But on the list is the grid, right? I've been trying to think of the things that could go shockingly quickly when dollar reserve currency, petrodollar, which is
higher
kind of
ed.
joined at the hip. Higher ed, yeah, higher ed, absolutely higher ed.
Medicine is completely
far more than the dollar stuff. I don't see the dollar being a problem in the future. I think re-dollarization is what's coming. But
so that's the milkshake theory, right?
No, that's part of it. It's just coming. I think we've been capital. I honestly believe that we have been money rich and capital starved in the United States and certainly in the banking system since 2008. I am coming more and more to the conclusion every day that 2008 was designed from the ground up to destroy American liquidity and access to productive capital, and to disadvantage our banks relative to the rest of the world. And today the removing of they finally decided on the rules to remove the ESLR, the supplemental leverage ratio against Treasury reserves. That's a big one. That me and Caitlin Long went over that like 6 months ago. Huge improvement. Our banks have been fighting with one hand tied behind their back, having to hold supplemental reserves against their treasury reserves, this is dumb. Like, you're holding money against the risk-free asset. It makes no sense. And then clearly the everything they're fighting about Fannie and Freddie, bringing that back to the market, and the variety of other things. I honestly think that we are on the verge of a credit boom in the United States. It's still going to take some time for the reorganization to continue to work itself out. And I think we're going to get the muddle through for for a little bit, and then it's going to take off like a shot.
Is that successful reindustrializing the country?
Yeah, that's the successful reindustrialization and everything else. You've got to have the liquidity for it. You have the banks can't be fighting with one hand tied behind their back, meaning Basel III plus the ESLR and all of that. There's no fucking way and the current Dodd-Frank underwriting rules for the middle class. It's insane.
Do you think that the capital that's supposedly being attracted into the U.S. by Mr. Trump is a real thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do. I mean, he's basically said, you stole this money from us. We want it back, and here's a tariff. And everybody knuckled under like that. Why? Because because the rumors of our death are greatly exaggerated. When you look around the world and you ask yourself, okay, who really is in better shape than we are? I'm not saying we're in good shape, folks. The whole world has already crashed. Maybe the better way to frame this, because we've been living through it, is that the whole world already hit rock bottom. And the only thing we've done is paper it over with nominal, with nominal money, but we've all really already we've hit cultural rock bottom, we've hit economic rock bottom. I don't produce anything anymore. We produce, OnlyFans and and fentanyl. Like, okay, so what else? I mean, think
Sports
about
betting.
right,
Don't
sports betting, right? All of
don't
this stuff.
forget.
Think about all that stuff, and just go and take a step back from all the crazy and just go, maybe this is just what rock bottom looks like. I mean, we're using the Great Depression as our model for rock bottom, which was the deflationary depression of the 1930s.
Actually, I think you can also use the 70s as a rock bottom.
I agree completely. Having grown up as a young man in the 1970s, I can tell you it forever shaped everything about my life, right? Born in 68. So, like, I'm 8 years old at the bicentennial. And that was no fucking party. That was a funeral dirge. So
the problem is in your presentation, I think what's missing is I do believe that we have to go through the valley of death to get to your liftoff.
I agree.
And it's going to feel like eternity.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be, I'm not no way, manner, shape, or form where I say,
by the way, I think
we can get through this. In nominal terms, we can have a rally, but in real terms, it's going to take the next 4 to 6 years to grow through this.
What is the blob or the deep state supposedly defending or representing in this picture? Because I don't get it. I mean, you're talking about inexorable financial forces and things.
Themselves, they're trying to hold on to the control of how we come out of this. They all know that we have a collapse. They've engineered this collapse. They want to be in control of the rules of how we operate, how capital operates in the aftermath. They want to continue to perpetuate the system of debt, colonization, extraction that they've been running against us for 350 years.
It's hard to believe that anyone has,
and I date that with the formation of the central banks.
It's hard to believe that anyone has a positive view of the blob and blob related and blob adjacent figures. I mean, you got a character like Gavin Newsom who is blobbish through and through,
Right.
and he's absolutely destroyed the state of California almost single-handedly in the last 8 years. It's really a remarkable thing. And the idea that this guy has any political currency at all, I mean, maybe it just gets back to psychodrama and the fact that that he's a handsome guy and he's got all the ladies are wetting their pants over him.
I think he looks like a porn star. The women.
Well, porn stars are porn stars for a reason, Dave.
I guess so, but I would.
It's usually not their face.
What?
Touche.
Usually not their face.
Touche.
It's a little lower. What I'm going to say is it might also be the fact that we are only beginning to scratch the surface, and this ties back to the Susie Wiles thing about just how corrupt our fucking elections are and how long
totally.
I kind of think they're going to blow that open. I think it's on the verge of getting blown open.
I think Susie Wiles was stopped. I almost want to believe the story that she didn't want to believe that there was anything going on here. And then when the Emerald Robinson has put out a big tweet storm this morning. If you guys haven't read it, I'm not sure I agree. I'm not sure I believe some of the fan fiction here, but I'm willing to at least entertain it because who am I to complain about people writing fan fiction, right? So political fan fiction. So if that story is even remotely correct, and any bits and pieces of it, which I will cop to, most of it is probably correct. There may be some exaggeration.
And tell us what it is, please.
Well, it's that that our elections were being run basically out of both Serbia and Venezuela, and that
Smartmatic,
all of it. And that was a Patrick Byrne and a couple other guys were the spearheads to ensure that did not happen in 2024. They had it all. And that's why the raid on the Serbian servers was such a big deal. And that's part of the reason why Trump is now playing heavy hardball with Venezuela, not just the cartels, not just but all of it.
It's not parts of this are not a new story.
No, they're not.
Sidney Powell was out there talking about that in 2020.
And
Oh, the
and
2020 election was dirtier than shit. So
Yeah, but I mean that was her Kraken story, the
and
Venezuelans and
yeah,
Smartmatic.
and yeah, that was that. They also
But
routed some of
wait
the
a minute. Let's not confuse. My understanding is Smartmatic was created to rig Venezuelan elections, not vice versa.
that way maybe
My
why it was
understanding of
created, but that's not maybe not necessarily how it was used.
yeah, I
But
understand
it
that.
wasn't the Venezuelans doing it.
Or it was being done out of Venezuela, probably by our
Oh, that
CIA.
I could believe. Yes,
By our CIA.
yes.
I'm not saying
They can do it from anywhere. They
no,
can do it from anywhere.
Maduro in this case is just the fucking
That's my point. Okay, we're on the same page.
I'm sorry if I made it sound like I thought Maduro was snidely whiplashing our fucking elections.
Yeah,
please.
yeah, exactly. Okay,
We're back
on the same
give
page.
me a little bit more credit for that. I fucking hate.
That's how. I'm still reading
yeah.
"Paying Taxes to Pedophiles" in the background, so it's distracting me.
I'll change it.
So anyway,
What do you want now?
I don't know.
I'll come up
Getting
with something.
humped by pedophiles.
what's the Susie Wiles connection with the Emerald Robinson report?
How about that one? So Susie Wiles being the Trump's chief of staff, right? She was apparently very resistant to the idea that the election was stolen. Very resistant, yes. And that's this is Emerald's story that she's putting out there now. And that it took a certain amount of convincing and pushing that information up the chain. And then that's when it finally, and that happened after 2021 and blah, 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 blah. And then, but read the tweet thread, it's out there. It's something to consider. And I'm not sure, again, I don't know how much of the story I'm willing to believe, but I'm certainly not willing to not believe. I believe.
I have trouble believing she didn't believe that. To me, the 2020 election was
well, there's her
stolen.
connection to Pfizer as a former Pfizer lobbyist, and she was sort of deep into the whole COVID defense thing,
I mean,
right.
That may be one angle on it, but the other thing is that she has, she's a big deal in Florida politics, and then they moved her into national politics. She tried to run the national party the same way she ran the Florida party. Those two things don't translate. Let's just make it short and sweet. I think she's out of her depth. And now the calls to get rid of her are interestingly timed. Let's just put it that way. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Are we bombing Venezuela in the next 24 to 72 hours?
No. I think we're just intimidating them.
Yeah, no,
I don't think. What do you bomb in Venezuela? There's no target.
If you're going to bomb anything, you're going to bomb the frigging cocaine factories in Colombia.
Well, the other thing is the idea that we're fighting war on drugs by blowing cigar boats out of the water. Jesus Christ!
No, that's just part of it. No, the big.
I think that's just for media consumption.
I worry about the fish and the other life in the sea being, subjected to fentanyl.
It's also a fair point.
Yeah, that is a fair point. My thought on this is that Trump there's no regime change operation in Venezuela. What I think is a negotiated settlement between us and Maduro to keep Machado out, because it's clear that they want that the WEF / Davos or whomever, they want Machado in there. Meet the new boss, the same as the old boss. Who we're fighting in Venezuela is the CIA. That's what we're
fighting. Let me see if I got this
military.
Right.
It's the military versus the
CIA troops were fighting the Mossad's troops, or how is this working?
I don't know if there's. I don't.
How is it that President Trump?
I didn't. Did I mention the Mossad?
No, I was just throwing in another team, another sponsor, right?
No, I just think that it's not particularly difficult. We still have serious rogue elements within the CIA, or normal, or as my wife likes to put it, the normal aspects of the CIA, and then we now have a patriot wing in the CIA. Apparently, maybe a small bit of it.
How is it that Mr. Trump is not in control of the CIA at this point?
Nobody is, I think.
No.
I don't think anybody.
Oh, come on. How can he? How he could simply seize control of it? I mean, he could just.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Come on.
They have their own budget.
Well, he could fire all these fuckers. He could just throw them out of the
And they're
government. He could
still
just
going to
throw them
operate.
out.
Like,
Yeah.
most of their Jim,
JFK.
most of their money comes from extra
Yeah.
Well,
governmental
then,
money.
then it's a
It's the
mafia
private money.
operation.
So now you got to
That's
get
all
rid
it
of
is. Now you got
it.
it.
Is
That's
the
right.
mafia
It is
operation.
it is organized crime.
How do
And
Doug
why
Valentine,
and
why
CIA
why do we
organized crime.
tolerate that? Why do we tolerate the CIA operating
don't.
independently as some kind of mafia racketeering operation?
Because if you oppose it, they'll deal with you.
Well, they'll deal with you. Well, I mean, why isn't why aren't we even talking about it? Why doesn't the internet talk about it?
Why does
why doesn't
Netanyahu get a 4-minute standing ovation when he talks to Congress? They're all
well,
owned.
Yeah.
They're all owned.
I don't think it's so much that. No, I'm not for Netanyahu in Congress. No, I'm sorry.
We have been talking. I mean, the Church Committee
I
in the
think he's.
70s talked about
Yeah.
the CIA. That was 50
I,
years
I
ago.
I'll dare to say that Netanyahu gets an ovation in Congress. I'll dare to say this because he is a heroic warrior defending his own country and doing what needs to be done to defend his people. That's why.
Yeah, I'll
Not
take the
because
other
of some
side of that. But
not because of some cockamamie story about, mysterious ownership of this and that.
I think it's huge power.
Sometimes things are really what they appear to be.
APAC gives just vast amounts of money to every congressman.
Well, blame your congressman then for being
Well, I do.
susceptible to corruption.
I do. I'm happy to.
I think both sides. I think both parts of this story are true now. I didn't always used to believe that.
Mhm.
I was just saying that.
Clarify that.
What I mean is that I think that there's plenty of reason to be distrustful of Israel and their influence over our congressional actors. I also think that Netanyahu over time has acted in Israel's best interest, and that meant doing whatever it took for that was he was told to do by either the American neocons and or the British neocons together. Like, because remember, where we were as a country and where we are now are different. We had Britain's foreign policy. We had their central bank policy. We had their monetary policy. We had their domestic policy. We have their tax policy. We have all of that. And we had a bunch of globalist fuck tits running our fucking government and allowing the CIA to run around working with the fucking British crown to run organized crime around the fucking world.
Let me ask
That
you.
process
Let me
is
ask
now
you.
stop, and that process is now reversing itself. And Netanyahu is the key, is the only contiguous figure here, because Israel I think is being thrown under the bus by the British as an expended asset.
Really?
And yes, absolutely. I still
Except that
believe
Israel is now capable of defending itself.
No, I don't know about that, Jim. What I think is that what Trump is trying to organize, and Putin, by the way, are trying to organize in the Middle East is a new playing board that we've never seen before. One where everybody basically, you wipe out all of the British backed and American backed, jihadis and all of this shit.
Right.
You get rid of all those people. You
That
get rid of
would
all
be
what the Ian Burlingame calls the devil's legions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get rid of all of them. That means that sometimes Netanyahu has to kill some of them. Sometimes Trump has to make nice with Jelani in Syria to go kill ISIS. And you have to be willing to make deals with bad people in order to get worse people off the board. Then you then you take the bad people off the board and you start the process of de-escalating the entire thing.
Being a former ally of the United States is fatal.
Not
Henry Kissinger. It is dangerous to be our enemy. It is fatal to be our ally.
Yeah.
Former ally.
So
let me ask you a simple question.
And that's why I can see the whole Netanyahu as, ethno-state warrior narrative. I don't like it. As a matter of fact, I hate it, but I can argue it. And I can argue it even against
my view of Netanyahu. I think Israel would benefit from a more moderate leader. I think Netanyahu's a bully. I think he's a punk ass bitch. His level of commitment, I don't doubt. I agree with Jim. He's doing what he thinks is best for the state of Israel. There is the argument that once he's out of power, they're going to throw him in prison in Israel. I've heard that argument. And so he could be staying in a state of war to keep his ass out of prison. But I think he's too aggressive. I think he's risky as a mother. I think he's a bully. And I think
Yeah.
but Israel's had some great leaders. I don't think he's one of them.
And I think the time will come when there is a more moderate leader there. Just as, you can make a similar complaint about Trump, and
I agree.
I was a Trump voter, but
I was
his immoderate utterances and his childishness, detracts from his ability to really get some things done.
And I'm going to agree with both of you. Well, maybe for the
Mhm.
first time this entire podcast, we're all in agreement about something, which is
Yeah.
good because
Well,
it
I've
is
been
spirit.
disagreeable most of the way, so I made sure that it wasn't a royal flush.
At the end of the day, look, let's not kid ourselves. It is the eve of Thanksgiving, folks. At the end of the day, this is all still done in the spirit of good. This is what's supposed to happen on Thanksgiving. Men sit around and bitch about politics and argue
People,
about
there's
it.
always
They're all honor.
in every show
FYI,
we
no
in
matter
every show we do, there's a group of comments about whoever argued. Today it will be about me and Dave about you can tell these guys fucking hate each other. I'm like, do you guys understand we keep doing these shows month after month, year after year.
That's exactly right.
No one hates
Yeah.
each other here.
What are they
FYI,
talking
folks.
about? What are they talking about?
FYI, you're all honorary Italians.
People think
today.
Dave and Tom
I mean,
legitimately want each other dead.
I just love Tom. He's a complete asshole, but I love him.
But that's my point. Is people
Well,
are in
I
there.
just, Dave's a doomer boomer, but I love him.
People
I'm
will
a total
people will
boomer.
email me and be like, I think you need to like replace some of the Baldwins. I'm like, first of all, this isn't a democracy. This is my podcast. Fuck off. It's free. You don't get a say in who the fuck off.
Well,
Kill yourself.
I think you should do a Marjorie Taylor Greene and quit.
Do you think I should just quit it? Just be like, hey guys, the
I
Baldwins
have
are
a trivial question. I want a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Do you guys trust Kyriakou?
Yeah, I do.
Kiriakou?
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Tom?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him, John Kiriakou.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take the fifth that I think I'm supposed to, but I
Well,
don't know that.
I know that.
But I don't know.
That he seems. I really want to trust him.
Mhm.
I guess get this feeling that he's a limited hangout.
I tried to get him on the show through someone that knows him personally, and it did not work.
Well, but it doesn't. He's got it. I mean,
Not
there's
that that
just
means
something
anything,
that's-
just as an aside.
There's
Mhm.
something just I would love to believe him because he's a window into that world. But I just
Well,
love.
then it's probably horseshit. If we want to believe him, then it's someone's doing their job.
Well, you do want to hear someone who's talking about what's going on inside that world.
No, true.
So, Jim, you do believe him. You do trust him.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. You're my
I'll be honest- I'll just be honest
grounding
with you.
because it takes a lot to haul your ass into a conspiracy. So when I haul your ass into a conspiracy, it must be
We're
a fucked up
fucked.
situation.
That's why I'm top
We're
right
fucked.
on the.
Yeah, where Tom was like, Tom, get out of the fucking rabbit hole, Tom. Get out of the fucking rabbit hole. I'm actually probably the worst.
No, I think it depends. We have different areas of conspiracy expertise. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
By the
Sounds-
way, am I the only one who's noticed that David Hogg started to sound logical before they fired him?
Well,
David
I don't know
Hogg
what did he
David
do?
Hogg was on Tom's screen. Oh, he just started talking about the Democratic Party having to get their shit together and how fucked up they are. And he
yeah.
mame total sense to me.
You
and all of a
bet.
sudden they kick him out of the DNC. I'm going, you had a young guy
burning
who
acid. Yeah.
right, who's getting his shit together finally, and then you kick him out. Now, why
They don't want anybody interfering with their psychodrama.
That's exactly right. That's
And
exactly. I like your psychodrama, and I'm glad I didn't say it because the women are going to come after you. You're going to find out there's more warrior in those ladies than you think. They're gonna surround your house.
Rolling pins.
So did anybody notice that they threw John Fetterman down the stairs 24 hours after he voted to open the government?
Now, I'm hoping that's a metaphorical down the stairs, which I'm not sure.
No, I'm not kidding, dude.
his
Every
face
time
is-
somebody
He fell
does
down the
something they're
stairs.
not supposed to
He
do,
went to the hospital.
like
His whole face is stitched up.
Like Bernie
you don't
Sanders.
remember
I did
Harry,
see that.
You know,
I
Harry
did
Reid
see
with the
that.
black eye, John Roberts,
Bernie
Mitch
Sanders.
McConnell, Bernie Sanders. Now
The
John
black eye. You guys know the black eye theories? You know the black eye theories?
No.
The satanic connections with the black eyes.
What is it?
I've not been able to get my brain around it, but there's this claim that the black eye is a tell of something strange having to do with, I think there's some claim it's adrenochrome bruising. It's not panda eyes. That's totally different. So, okay, never mind. The black eye, keep your eyes on the black eye. It's like when you see
Okay.
someone doing this.
All right. I just think it's like they pay a large Mexican to throw somebody down the stairs. Like, I don't, that's the world I live in. Like,
Right.
Hey, was
I,
there any significance to the Obamas and the Clintons not showing up at Dick Cheney's funeral?
they didn't.
No,
That's interesting.
you didn't
That
know
I
is
that.
didn't notice that
interesting.
because my only regret about Dick Cheney dying is that he didn't live long enough for his daughter to be indicted for treason and shot over January 6th.
Actually, she makes him look good.
Yeah.
The other chick who you can't get to cry is Erica Kirk. She is. There's something so wrong with that woman. I've dug deep into it. I don't know if I'm going to write about it. She is from head to toe a wackadoodle. You got to watch her. She
Yeah, I
is
haven't
not.
spent a lot of time watching her.
Oh, it's the Kirk story. Forget about the whole Israel connection, which I think is a real issue. Blaming Israel for Kirk's assassination, it's kind of like they find the wife in the garage with a knife in her throat, and the husband's nowhere in sight. He's going to be the guy you talk to first. He might not have done it. There's no evidence he did it, but you're going to talk to him first. But I think the evidence that TPUSA was in on it is actually pretty good. That there were insiders in TPUSA who were part of the whack is actually pretty good. And the hit is in particular Mikey McCoy. You want to watch some fishy shit? Watch Mikey McCoy.
What's his role or what's his position?
Well, so Mikey McCoy is essentially Charlie Kirk's chief of staff. When you listen to him, you go, this guy didn't get above a 500 on his SATs, right? There's something missing.
You're saying he's a dope?
Yeah, he's a 22-year-old kid who's just a kid.
Uh-huh.
And so he's not a chief of staff of a $150 million operation. I think his father is the brains, who's a minister. And I think Mikey's just a youngster sitting there as eye candy or something. But so the strangest I can tell you what the strangest phenomenon. First of all, Erica has never been able to cry over any of this. You watch her in the whole memorial service. She dabs the tears off her face 8 times. Someone went through this and counted. 8 times she dabs the tears off her face. There are no tears. You say, well, maybe you can't see them, whatever. But if your husband had been assassinated, your speech would be a combination of a scripted thing, and you would watch the person going in and out of real pain, and you couldn't see it. You could not see it. No tears. She wiped the tears off her face 8 times, all on the left side. So it's apparently her left eyeball is the only one that tears up. Now, if there was and tell me this isn't insane, there was an actual Meet the Kirks podcast prior to the assassination, and they're taking questions from the internet, and there she is sitting there, and Charlie gets one, says, oh, this is an easy couple of questions, and the 2 questions were, how long have you been married, which the answer is 4 years, and what year did you get married? And she stammered on the how long you've been married, but that you could understand because you might say, well, it was January, and do a little math, right? So maybe you'd slow down a little. You ask a chick who's been married 4 years, what year you got married? Her answer would not be, and you got to watch me, Jim. She goes, 2021? And I go, not a fucking chance would a chick act that way. You got to watch it. She did not know what year she got married.
Weird.
So then you watch Mikey McCoy. Mikey McCoy is his chief of staff. There's a screen with Charlie sitting in front of it, right? And the screen's pretty wide. Mikey McCoy, there's videos of him all day before the event and everything. You know who Mikey McCoy is. He's standing back about 15 feet away behind the screen, possibly within sight of Charlie, possibly not able to see Charlie. I think he could see Charlie. But Charlie gets shot in the neck. They slow the video down. Mikey McCoy, his phone is up to his head within 834 microseconds. There was no dialing. There was no calling. Boom, phone to the head. He literally turns around and walks out of sight behind the screen before Charlie hits the ground. And then the claim is by his father that Mikey was covered with blood. Not a chance. Mikey keeps walking and walking, and he's walking slowly and methodically. He ends up about 100 yards past the van that they threw Charlie Kirk into. Now, healthcare 101, guy gets shot in the neck. The last thing you do is just throw him in a van. You put pressure on the wound, you deal with it right there on the spot. Anybody would know that. It would take time to get him into any sort of vehicle, even if you decided the van was the way to go. They literally just picked him up and carried him away.
He must have been dead when he hit the ground.
He was dead when he hit the ground. But the TPUSA guys look crooked as shit to me. The two of them are helping. As they're helping him within a second, they've got a smirk. And it's called Duper's smirk.
Duper's delight.
Duper's delight. It's where you can't not.
It's an involuntary
smile.
expression
Right.
of smugness
No,
because you got away with
absolutely.
something.
Yeah.
That's right. If you dig into this shit, you are left so uncomfortable with all the shit that you see when you dig into it. And there was a camera right behind him. Within 4 hours, they had taken the camera down. 4 minutes. Excuse me. 4 minutes they had taken the camera down off of the wall. And then you got the whole, this Tyler Robinson, he did not kill Charlie Kirk. I don't know who did. And it doesn't matter. Once Tyler Robinson's not the killer, you just say professional hit. I don't care where it came from. You can shout about it all day long. It's a professional hit. And then you say, okay, who would have done it? Now, here's where it gets tricky. You say, well, Charlie was fighting Israel like crazy. He got personal calls from Netanyahu putting pressure on him to behave himself, right? They had an intervention in the Hamptons where billionaires sat down with him and said, Charlie, get with the fucking program, quit doing this, right? But the problem is that it could be Israel, or it could be anyone who wants to make it look like Israel. And that narrows it down to everybody in the world. Right? I mean, it just
no. That narrows it down in this corner of the bald ones to London and dollars, because their goal their goal, and I'm gonna tie it back, and this is gonna piss some people off, but I'm gonna tie it back to, you want to talk about Duper's delight? Go watch Nick Fuentes' eulogy of Charlie Kirk. I saw it about six. I saw at least 6 or 7.
Give me the essence of what you're looking for.
Oh, what I'm saying is,
I don't watch Nick Fuentes.
Where he's smirking.
I really don't
where
like
he's
Nick
smirking at the end of particular talking points, where he's like saying Charlie was my enemy, but and I feel terrible about, and he's like, and you can see you can freeze frame. I watch people freeze frame this shit. I'm like, oh, there that is. But here's the thing: I'm not saying that Fuentes was in on it or anything else. But what I am going to say is the following: Charlie's superpower was that he was pulling the youth of America away from radicalization and accelerationism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was his superpower. That's what had to be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is the most powerful mechanism, the motive for wanting to take him off the board, because since then we have been inundated with accelerationist raper shit from the right and Mamdani fucking retarded communism from the left. And
there's an alternative theory.
That's what I see.
The alternative theory is, and you can make a case for this if you look at what happened after he got killed, and that is that he was specifically martyred.
I've heard that as well.
Because he went from being Charlie Kirk, who I was not a big fan. I learned more about him with time, and I said, oh, there was more to this guy. I watched Tucker Carlson's interview him before he died and stuff, and I go, oh, this guy's got more into the hood than I thought, right? But I was not as big a fan. He became Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
He became Martin Luther King.
I never disliked him, but I kind of thought he was like a dweeb. Like
I thought he was just a grifter. I was
yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
have dinner with him one night and it got canceled. So I'm disappointed because I would have gotten a read on the guy.
Right.
But I was supposed to have
I
dinner
always
with he
thought
and Candace, and
I
but
always
it
thought that he was. I always thought he was kind of like, certainly when he first hit the scene. And I mean, let me put it this way: like I stopped giving Charlie Kirk a second thought back in say 2018.
right,
Okay,
right.
okay, and so he's out there, and what is he doing the entire time? But he's leveling up. And after he was killed, I watched dozens of hours of his interactions with students on a number of different issues, on almost every issue you can think of. And I brought it up the last time we were on the show, and him bringing up the whole BlackRock shouldn't own
Mm-hmm.
Right.
single family homes, that we need to get you guys into
Right.
fucking homes and get you some fucking home. I'm like, that's what has had
He
me
was
in
leaving
that
the
mind space.
reservation. He was leaving the
Yes,
But
reservation.
yes, he was.
why I agree with Tom that they had to kill him because he was bringing people away from the brink of extremism. But why would he be intentionally martyred? Wouldn't that be if you were the forces that wanted that? Wouldn't you not want to martyr
Yeah,
him?
see, that's my problem with
No,
the
I
intentional
don't know.
martyr.
I'm asking Dave. What is like the logic
Well,
behind wanting to martyr him?
look at what they've done in the post Charlie era. There's before Charlie and after Charlie. It's almost like BC and AC, right?
FYI,
And
okay, I'm sorry, Dave.
go ahead.
So Jimmy brought up earlier that I consort with 20-year-olds. That's my daughter's view of the whole Charlie Kirk
I've had a lot of
memorial.
people tell me their
They're
kids
like,
were big
this was
Charlie
really
fans.
fucking weird, and I didn't like it. And she was no fan of Charlie Kirk, but sad he's gone, which is a position that I don't
Sure.
agree with at all. And I took her, and she and I had a big argument about that, but that's a different story for a different day. My point is that she was really weirded out by the event, for his funeral, his eulogy, the big event. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, I was weirded out by it.
And supposedly, again, this is all who the fuck knows what's true. But suppose they had Cardinal Stadium covered before the shooting, which you could easily believe, because getting Cardinal Stadium, getting it cleared for all that shit and getting ready in what, 10 days or something they cremated the body. They never did get an autopsy. There's so many things wrong with the story. There's so many things. This is one of these. I'm right now reading a book about Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City, and it's the same thing. Guys are dying who aren't supposed to be dying, and
Elohim City, yeah.
yeah, it's one of these things where there's just so many flaws in the story,
Mm-hmm.
and especially, I'd bet comfortably even odds $1,000,000 that Tyler Robinson did not shoot him. They've blown that part of the story out of the water. And then it becomes what the hell did happen, and I just don't know. After that,
I'm not sure I buy that because it just doesn't account for Tyler Robinson being where he was and doing the things that he did do.
well, also the text messaging was absurd.
I'll go on what Dale Comstock, I've had him on here a trillion times. Youngest ever member of Delta Force, very well versed in guns. The first thing he said is like, you can't take
do
apart
that.
that gun. He said you need that gun specifically, and
Yeah.
he's off memory. He's like, if you have an MP9, you do this. If pins, he goes with that gun specifically. He's like, you need 2 fucking vice grips bolted to your floor
It
to
was
take
just
it
a
apart.
plain old 30-06, right? Supposedly.
But the fact that he said he took it apart.
Yeah, I
which
know.
is what
It's not a
yeah.
breakdown type
Yeah, he goes
weapon.
he goes, well, it's not that. He goes, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's physically impossible.
Sure.
So that right there goes, okay, I don't know what happened, but I know it wasn't that. And why are we being told this? Something's up. I don't know who did it or what happened, but it's very clear.
We're missing
something's
the
up.
4 seconds of the video that they had that actually would have shown the shooting. And they don't have that. The fact they bulldozed the entire infield, they tore apart the crime scene that day.
Yeah.
So it's a massive assassination, and they tore apart the crime scene.
Yeah,
The whole thing is just crazy. So
All
it's
right.
one of these things where I don't need to explain it. It's one of those like one time I shot down a theory. I was at Harvard giving a seminar, and I said, I think this is bullshit. He says, what do you think it is? I said, I'm not smart enough to think of that. I just know this is bullshit. And so my bullshit detector is blown off the charts. I almost don't care at this point to get the final answer because I won't believe that I really understand the final answer when I finally get it. It's easier to detect bullshit than to reassemble it into the
Yeah,
real story.
that's kind of where I am in a lot of this is like you can find out it's horseshit, and that itself is indicative of so much more. You're never going to be certain of like what happened though, and that kind of almost seems it's not
And,
satisfying.
and once you get into that kind of space, that's where they want you. Because
Yeah,
then they can
I get
create whatever,
emails
then
from
they
a
can create
guy.
whatever the hell they want.
yeah,
They
yeah.
create whatever false reality they want.
I get an email once a week from a guy who sends me JFK shit. I go, you got to get a life, buddy. I just accept the fact that a bunch of guys whacked him. Let's call it the CIA categorically,
Whatever. A
and just
cabal
move
got
on.
rid of him. It
One
sucks.
thing I'd happily bet a paycheck is that LBJ knew he was going to get whacked. By the way, he had Duper's Delight on Air Force One. There's a picture of him where he's turning to one of his buddies in the background. He's smirking at him. And it really looks incriminating. Now, by the way, you want to see how. So, do you guys know what Erica Kirk did before she met Charlie? First of all, she met Charlie in Israel. Let's start there. Before she met Charlie, she did. Before she met Charlie, she worked in Romania for an orphanage that was rumored to be trafficking children. I can also tell you, you don't put a hot chick in a bikini. I've talked to a beauty pageant queen on this. You do not put a hot chick in a bikini and send her out and have her win Miss Arizona. These women, first of all, Arizona has more than its fair share of hot women. Second of all, they've been training their entire lives to win these pageants. You don't bring in a rookie and win a pageant. It doesn't work that way. But she was running an orphanage, some operation that was rumored to be trafficking, which, by the way, all of them in the Eastern Bloc are trafficking, best I can tell. That seems to be the blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids are common over there. So everything's wrong with the story. And by the way, neither his parents nor her parents, they're totally AWOL. They are totally, both. So I'm not sure who Charlie Kirk is. I've been waiting for someone like Candace Owens to throw out a hint that he's not who we thought he was.
Candace is in a bit of hot water herself right now, huh?
Well, I actually think she's actually, I've watched her to look for dishonesty and I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
I think she could be wrong on some stuff, but dishonesty I don't see. They're going at her with everything they got. I think Macron's wife is a dude. And the only question a DNA test will tell you is whether it's his father. And so I think that's just for public consumption, that lawsuit.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to be Candace Owens. I just, she's now claiming that there's a hit out on her.
Yeah, if
there's a hit out on you from the French, then everyone who hates the fucking French is going to want to whack you. I mean, announcing there's a hit on you by any one time, it's like the Skripal poisoning in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
They said it's Russian technology. I said, yeah, or a bunch of guys, any country in the world could create that goddamn Novichok and make it look like the Russians did it, right? So,
that was such an MI6 operation. I didn't want to.
Oh, that was it was right next to Porton Downs. It was right next.
I mean that's like textbook MI6 bullshit. Like they turned a simple poisoning into a fucking James Bond movie.
I was the only organic chemist in the world who called bullshit on that story.
All right.
Jim's saying he's got to run.
Yeah, I got to run as well. I've got a phone call with somebody else in a couple of minutes. So I'm happy to do this.
I got stuffing to make.
Spar with y'all.
I got to make stuffing too. I got to make it a day early, don't I?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Hey, have a great Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Fun.
As always, everybody, please go in the description. Please go follow all of them on Twitter. All their links and all that good shit is in there. Yeah, and for everybody in the comments, you don't get a say in who the Baldwins are. Fuck off, legitimately fuck off, kill yourself. But to you three, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Look forward to the next one. Take care, everybody.